Unfortunately, Kevin could not make it today, so you all have the honor of watching me, your undefeated commissioner, flim-flam his way through this episode. But thanks to technology, Kevin will be joining us once or twice today. Maybe once, maybe twice. But more importantly, today we will be joined by the owner of 3-in-1 AJ's Green, Kevin Bailey. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it. Honor.
So, one thing I really wanted to ask you was, you were the number one waiver this week, and you made no claims.
Correct.
Are you waiting for Mr. Right, or did you just not like anyone on out in free agency?
You know, it's a great question. Normally when people have that number one waiver, they would like to use it right away. I decided to hold tight and actually kind of wait for Mr. Right, but there's really nobody that I wanted to use my number one pick on this week. So I think my team is solid right now. I didn't want to shake it up.
I was really hoping that I would be the number one after this week.
Sorry about that.
I went from 4 to 2. So
it's a good jump, though. Good jump.
Yeah.
I might not use it next week either.
Unfortunately, I'm at the mercy of you, though.
Yeah.
So, and the higher you get in the waivers, the more important it is that you use it on the right person.
Correct.
Like when you're floating around 6 or 5, 6, like you could just throw it out there and hope you get them. But when you're 2, it's like, I don't want to use it, and then like I feel like if there's someone I really want to use it on, you're gonna want to use it too.
Yeah.
But someday maybe I could be one.
We'll see what happens.
So we're gonna get right into our week 4 capsules this week. Our first matchup I wanted to talk about was my matchup.
Of course. Start with the undefeated.
With more than half of my team being acquired from free agency, I was able to almost double Old Dirty BJ, CJ Aker, in points, making me number 1 in the league and number 1 in all of your hearts. Do you have anything to say about my beatdown?
I got a couple things to say about your beatdown, sir. One, congratulations on moving to 4-0. The matchup looked a little bit closer, before the game started being played. But what could CJ do when only 2 of his players put up double-digit points? That hurts. Thomas and Olsen were the only ones. And then for Brian's team, it was the opposite. Almost everyone scored double digits for Brian's team. He also had a very great pickup with Bryce Butler for the Cowboys.
I can thank Joe for that.
Well, thanks, Joe, for making him 4-0.
Although I was going to pick up Terrence Williams, and he scored 2, so either way I would have made out in that. Our next matchup I want to talk about was the Teabaggers versus I Suck.
Wow. Great matchup that was.
Yeah. Whew. Real shit show.
Yeah, a little bit. Really, though, what can you say about this game that was any good?
Well, Teabaggers were able to inch this one out. He had Diggs and Blair Walsh going on Monday night.
Needed Blair Walsh to bail him out with a 43-yard field goal for the win to get to 63 points for a victory. Chris, man, it's not looking good. 1-3. You had a tough week. You had your buys. Your 2 best players were on a bye. Although you did start Doyle at tight end, 0.6. You also dropped Martellus Bennett earlier in the week, who put up 109 yards. I'm sorry. If you would have held on to him, you would have got the victory on that one.
Doyle actually had a touchdown called back because they said Luck was down, which I still don't think he was.
Ruling on the field. Gotta go by that. No touchdown, you lose. Let's talk about the next matchup. Saved by Lev Bell versus Dak Attack. Another lower scoring affair. Joe decided to play Kevin White over Will Fuller. That's a tough call. Almost cost you there. Good thing De Silva is a homer and started Dak Prescott over Matt Ryan.
And Russell Wilson.
If you played Matt Ryan, he would have won.
I talked Joe into starting White over Fuller. Hanging out,
Wow.
Joe went back to that lineup probably 6 times between 12:30 and 1 o'clock. And, you know, I felt like he wanted to start White, so I talked him into it.
I think you coursed him into that one.
Fuller, in my defense, Fuller was last, like, in his options. He had a couple options, and it was like, whatever. Joe, it's your team. You live with it. This was our spotlighted game of the week. You truly were saved by Lev Bell.
Yes.
8 o'clock. Nobody left to play but Lev Bell, and you're down, 12, 13 points? And he comes in and saves the day. But seriously, De Silva, why? Why would you start Dak Prescott? What were you thinking?
You only have yourself to blame for that one.
Seriously, that one was brutal.
And we're going to talk a little bit more about Dak Attack later on, I feel.
But the next game I want to talk about was your game. You truly were high on AJ's Green this week.
Yes, I was.
Thursday night, he drops 23. You're feeling good.
Yeah.
Sunday rolls around, and your running backs just carry you.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's great to know that the guys you drafted are producing.
Yeah.
It
is good.
Unlike my team, where you're just drafting guys out of free agency and hoping. Your guys are producing well, and you actually have the most points in your division, despite being behind Bobby.
Right.
Hashtag Kickers Lives Matter.
Hashtag 4-0. Thanks to Mike Holiday ranting and raving about him.
Yes.
We'll talk about that later also.
And it's also nice to have the number 1 waiver spot stashed away.
Yes. Keep bringing that up, man.
That is...
I'll use it when I need to.
Don't just use it.
We're just gonna stash that for a rainy day, you know what I mean?
Just use it on...
Yeah.
I think Kenny Stills is available right now.
I don't know.
Use it on Kenny Stills.
I don't know about all that. Yeah, the matchup was a lot closer than I wanted it to be. Beers, Jimbo Flames, as you like to call them.
Flames Plunkett.
Brandon Cooks, if he would have put up any more points, or even his projection, I would have lost that game. He only put up 3 points.
Yeah, he should.
You know, and he started Fozzie Whitaker, which I laughed at when I saw, but he got great production out of him. Almost 10 points, I believe. And I took a shot this week with Dallas' defense, and that almost came back to, cost me the victory. But my good old Giants played just well enough, lost the game, but they only let Minnesota have 8 points on defense. So, 3-1 for me. Moving on to Bobby next week.
Yeah, big game coming up, for sure. Knuckles versus Adrian Peterson. Not much you could do here, Kevin. You just drew the short straw this week. Julio was unstoppable. Totally redeemed himself from last week. Delahanty lost against Bobby Buttons in week 3 because of Julio. And he really, really came through this week.
Yeah.
Big time.
Yeah. Julio had himself a feast.
Oh, my God.
Man, 36 points. Yeah, it wasn't enough for 225. He had to add a 75-yard touchdown.
Dude,
late in the game. Come
red
on.
zone was just fucking Julio.
Julio's zone. Yeah, there we go. What didn't help Knuckles was yeah. The most points was his kicker and his defense that got him.
That is not going to take you far.
Not at all. But Gronk, Willie Snead, and Doug Baldwin only combining for 8 points. Ouch. Tom Brady comes back this week. That's good news. Maybe Gronk will do a little bit better. I know he's got the hamstring injury, but Brady makes people way better. So.
Yeah, definitely having Brady back is the light at the end of the tunnel. That and a crazy trade that we'll talk about later.
Yes, indeed.
So the next matchup I want to talk about was Bombo Berry versus the Mohawk Maniacs. Not much to say about this one.
Yeah. Another loss for Wayne, unfortunately. He's trying to do his thing. We've talked earlier, he's active on the waivers. He's trying to, do the right thing for his team. He's getting 0 production. Had he played Derek Carr, though, may have had a chance. If he took a chance on the Bills or Falcons defense, also could have won.
I got a couple things to say about Bombo.
Go ahead.
Bortles dropped 25 points for you, which is great. I hate Bortles, by the way. I don't know why. I just don't like him. And he also got solid production out of Allen Robinson and Franklin the Turtle Anderson. I find it strange, though, that the wide receiver that put up the most points for you, Kenny Stills, dropped 13 points, which, led your wide receivers. You dropped him. I know he's touchdown dependent, but this is a standard league, so we'll see. That's an interesting waiver claim, Bailey. You should probably just keep a lot of competition out there.
I don't know. Maybe he thought Kenny Stills was a one-hit wonder. You got him. You got the job done for him this week,
dude. If you look at his game log, there's only like 1 week he hasn't put up double digits. It's whatever.
Yeah.
Take it or leave it at that.
And real quick, just to finish off on that matchup, I know Wayne only scored 65 points, but if you look at the other matchups, that still would have been enough points to beat Mike Holiday and Chris Holiday this week. So, yes. Sorry, Wayne, that you weren't playing one of them. Would have got your first victory of the year.
And you know what? Those are the only two people who have multiple championships. And they played each other this week, and I thought, hey, make the league look good. And
yeah, would have thought that would have been a nice, juicy matchup. High scoring maybe.
You would think.
A little more trash talking, but...
The Holidays, in that division, the Holidays are just beating the shit out of each other.
I think that's what we all wanted to happen.
And I'm loving it.
Yeah, I like it too. Put them all together, let them take each other out. What else do we got? What other matchup?
The next one I want to talk about is... I think there's only one more left to talk about, right?
I think we got
hashtag
Kickers Lives Matter versus B for Boomer. I don't really have a lot to say about this matchup besides Bobby keeps winning. I mean, what else is there? He's making all the right moves, apparently. He's playing all the right players. Michael Crabtree, 3 touchdowns. Come on. Is Bobby really the guru of this league, Brian?
Oh, my God. Bobby. I believe Mike had Boomer as a 10-point favorite this week. Wow, was he wrong? Mike. Just fucking karma all the way. But that's Mike's style. Recently acquired Crowell, who everybody considered De Silva he made that trade with De Silva?
Yes, he did, for Emmanuel Sanders.
Yeah, for Emmanuel Sanders. Everyone considered De Silva the winner of that trade, and everyone was wrong.
Crowell, 20 points last week. And
everyone was especially wrong because Bobby's running backs were about to be on the bench. Bobby had to make a move. He made a move for Crowell, and he drops 20.
Right. To Sanders, who only had 14.
Right. But whenever you're trading positions, I don't... It's not an exact science.
Correct.
You know, because it's all about what that other team needs.
Right.
So I'm not... It's less about... To me, it's less about Sanders and more about Crowell dropping 20 points. That really keeps Bobby in it. And Crabtree. Bobby.
3 touchdowns, man.
Bobby, come on, Bobby. Crabtree. 3 touchdowns. And Boomer. Good thing for you, you get Brady back this week. Because without him, you were heading down a dark road. And your Brady to Edelman connection will hopefully light a fire. And you'll probably get some wins in the future.
Yeah, B for Boomer. He's sitting at 1-3 right now. So having Tom Brady come back, hopefully he can get a win this week.
I have written down here, I'm sorry, you got.
No, that's what I just wanted to
I just have a little side note for Bobby.
Sure. I got a side note also after you.
Go fuck yourself.
Okay. Well, I'm going to take the opposite approach here. I'm going to congratulate Bobby on being 4-0. Everyone's bashing him. Everyone's talking shit about him. He doesn't know what he's doing. He's obviously doing something right. He's 4-0. And I get to play him next week. So unlike Mike, I'm not going to bash him. I'm going to praise him. Bobby, keep up the good work. You're 4-0. We're going to have a good match this week, I think. That's all I got.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a big, big game for you.
Yeah, it's huge.
We're going to talk about that later, but that's it for week 4. That's week 4 for you.
4-4, yeah.
4 for you. So, there was a blockbuster trade that just happened last night, or by the time this drops, it'll be 2 nights ago, between Knuckles and Dak Attack. It definitely needs mentioning, but instead of listening to us banter about it, I figured who better to hear it from than the owner responsible for it, my brother, your typical host, Kevin Do Yo Bang.
Hello there. A lot of you may have noticed, maybe you haven't, that Dak Attack, led by Mike DeSilva, and myself, we made a trade recently. A pretty big trade. Of course, the way trades have gone this year in the Corman, it really doesn't seem that big, but it really was a big trade. In the trade, I sent Lamar Miller, Latavius Murray, and Doug Baldwin to Dak Attack, and what I got in return was Todd Gurley, Tevin Coleman, and Emmanuel Sanders. Now, some have suggested that I've trade raped DeSilva, but I don't think this is so. I think it was a really, really even trade. And to demonstrate the way that this trade went down, I'm going to use my daughter, Kaylee. She's going to represent DeSilva, and her toy right here, that is going to represent Todd Gurley. So essentially how the trade went down was I basically said, "Look at your nose. Yoink. Now Todd Gurley's mine." And the funny thing is that DeSilva's not even upset. He practically gave Todd Gurley to me. But like I said, this was a very, very fair trade. Well, that's basically how it went down. In the end, who knows how it will turn out? Maybe it will be more beneficial for DeSilva. But regardless, my team is right now 1-3, and I needed to do something because I got to get back in this thing. So I wish you all luck this season. This week. I wish you all luck this week, except for you, Dak Attack. And I will see you guys next week on the Corman Fantasy Cast.
All right, so Kevin and Dak Attack made a blockbuster trade, and I really like it for my brother Kevin. If you're getting the best player in the trade, it's a good trade.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not going to steal that. That's exactly what Kevin said to me this morning at 4:30 when I said, "Hey, you picked up James White at 4:30 in the morning, you savage." But, he got Gurley out of the deal, and good for him.
Yeah, that was a very interesting trade. Like you said, I feel like it worked out well for your brother. He gets Gurley. He hasn't done
good on paper
yet, but I know by name he is still Todd Gurley. Maybe he can turn it around. The interesting thing is that I was offered those exact same 3 players 2 days earlier.
Old Riverboat Jack.
Yeah, DeSilva wanted to trade me the same 3 players he traded Kevin. For my 3 players were Melvin Gordon, DeMarco Murray, who have been absolute beasts for me, and Mike Evans, who's been producing, maybe not up to standards, but for me to get rid of my 2 workhorses for 1, I wasn't really having it, so I had to, decline that trade offer.
Those guys are the reason you won this week.
Exactly.
For sure.
And
Melvin
a couple
Gordon,
other weeks also.
Who knows how good he's going to be.
Right. I mean, he has potential. Hopefully he has more than 36 rushing yards next week, but if he scores me 2 touchdowns a week, I don't care how many rushing yards he actually has.
Who else is going to score those rushing touchdowns on that team?
Exactly. So, yeah, Kevin, you're welcome. I guess I'll take a line from Mike. I rubbed DeSilva's belly, and it worked out for you this time. Congratulations.
Yeah, DeSilva was all jazzed up.
Another interesting note about the trade, you guys play each other this week. So, I would love to see how this matchup actually comes out. Who the victor is going to be here.
Yeah, it'll be pretty easy to determine. It's 2 running backs and a wide receiver for 2 running backs and a wide receiver.
Yeah, and it's a big matchup. Dak Attack's 2-2. Knuckles is 1-3, and he really needs a win. Really needs a win here to get back on track and become that dominant force that I think we all think he can be. He's been in the league a long time. He knows his stuff. So it should be an interesting matchup, one I'll be following closely this week.
I like it. Dak. Attack. So I think it's time for our favorite segment.
The GIF of the week. First up is Jen's Fantasy by Dolomite Pimp Squad. Betty White Dab by #KickersLivesMatter.
Wait, is it Dab?
Dab.
I've been calling it Dab for way too long. And now I feel kind of silly.
Yeah, that is a little silly. You need to step up your game here. Let's be professional. Come on, man. The last one up is That's a Boy, which was hilarious, by the way, by Chris, team name I Suck. Yes.
And the winner is...
That's it.
By I Suck. Thank you, Chris, for that awesome GIF. It actually inspired my GIF, Jen's Fantasy, which I spent way too much time on. There's nothing like cropping Mike's face for 45 minutes.
Yeah, that's a little much to be looking at that face and then putting it on that body. But, Chris, nice one on that. At least you won something this week. It's a start, maybe. I'm looking forward to actually seeing Mike wash Bobby's van now. Because he did pull out the win.
That was the deal.
I think that has to happen, and I'll pay top dollar for that.
It has to happen. He posted it. There's proof, and you can't renege on the bet.
No, you cannot. So that's going to be happening. Bobby, I suggest you pick a cold winter's day to do that.
All right, so I believe we wanted to talk about waiver wires next.
Yes, we did. There was a couple interesting pickups and drops.
By a couple, he means a lot.
Yeah, I do mean a lot. I'm sorry. Let's get into it. You know what? We're gonna start with the host of the show today, Dolomite Pimp Squad. 2 pickups that I took note of. Eddie Royal.
Meh.
Okay.
Honestly, I'm week 7. I have Dallas is on a bye, and I have Dallas is on a bye, and I don't know. I didn't have enough wide receivers, so I basically just picked him up for my week 7 bye. I don't plan on using him anytime recently, but
Kelvin Benjamin.
So yes, in Carolina.
So you're setting yourself up.
Okay. Yeah.
I respect that move.
I'm looking, and
Coleman into the future.
Coleman and Royal should be coming back by week 7.
Right.
So
and Corey Coleman that one is the one that I liked.
Yeah, I dropped him because the Eagles were on a bye. I need to make some roster space. Gordon's done. Coleman's hurt. I picked up Terrell Pryor. I'm really invested in Cleveland. I don't know why, but I'm 4-0, so shut up.
All right, then. Let's talk about Old Dirty BJ, who hasn't hit the waiver wire yet this week. We'll see if he does. But as of right now, his team looks really good going into this week.
Yeah, he's 4 on the waivers, so he's saving it.
He might be holding on to that. But he's in great position. He's got Eli Manning and Beckham. All right? His record does not indicate he has those two on his team because they really haven't done much for him this year. Beckham still doesn't have a touchdown. If he gets some production from Beckham this week, touchdown, 100 yards, he should have no problem winning this matchup. I know.
I'm not gonna kick you while you're down.
Which is perfectly fine.
Yeah, I'm not gonna kick you while you're down. I'm an Eagles fan. I don't like Beckham and Eli to begin with, but I've never liked Eli more, to be honest with you, than his post game. I know this is a little off subject, but his post game comments towards Beckham really spoke a lot for Eli because he's not really an outspoken type of guy.
He's not,
and it's nice to see him try to put him in his place.
Right.
You see a lot of these diva receivers. They're too busy doing Nike commercials. Shut up and play football. And I know I'm an Eagles fan, so take it with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
But
I do agree off topic as it is. Beckham does need to calm down a little bit. Just keep your head in the game, man.
Just play football, man.
Do your job.
He's an amazing athlete. Just
yeah.
Stop fighting with everybody.
So we're going to move on before I flip the table. Let's go to Chris. Team name I Suck.
He does.
Chris, I spoke on this earlier. You dropped Martellus Bennett earlier last week, but this week you got him back. I don't know if it's a good thing now. He had the 109 yards last week. Brady's coming back. Brady loves Gronkowski. So it's a solid pickup. Also, Terrence West, another solid pickup. I believe Dixon may be playing this week. Who knows how big of a role? But that's something to watch, going forward.
Got him on my bench.
That'll be interesting. So we'll see. No calls during the cast. You want to take the next one?
That's an actual rule. I wanted to talk about Wayne's pickup.
Okay.
Coates? How do you say that?
Sammy Coates?
Coates? Is it?
I believe.
Coates.
It's like dapping and dabbing. Sorry, you missed that one.
Coates. Did I? I don't think they did. Alright, so, yeah, I'd just like to see Wayne active. Wayne, your team is in shambles. You missed the draft. I understand. Life's full of shit. I get it. You missed the draft. You got a bad team. But he has been one of the more active owners picking up free agents. He's got Darkwa. He just picked up Coates.
Yeah.
And I like that. I like that, Wayne. And I appreciate you not giving up as bad as your team is. Another one I wanted to talk about was Joe.
Before we go on to Joe, just to back you up, Wayne's made 18 moves. Wow. Which is the highest in the league. So he is trying to right his ship.
He's trying to compensate for his little wiener, but, good for you, Wayne. And I hope, season's far from over, and I really hope it works out for you. Just, I don't want you to win it all, because I want to win it all, but I hope you win a game, at least. But yeah, Joe, he dropped Kevin White. He just picked up Kevin White. Now he drops him. And I don't have a problem with that, except you dropped him for a running back who's third in the depth chart in Smallwood.
That's questionable too. Unless he knows something that we don't know.
That's the only thing I can think.
And the Eagle fan that's right next to me doesn't know.
Right, but I've also been working all day and then been out in this hot, sweaty garage studios. So maybe there's something going on that I don't know. But
so we'll wait and see on that. Joe could be the pickup of the week.
Probably not.
Yeah, but it's nice to hope. Who else we have? Bombo Berry. And I know Brian likes this pickup. Carson Wentz.
Not sure I agree with who he dropped. I feel like there's other people on his team that I would have dropped instead of him. But, I mean, you can't go wrong with the Eagles' star quarterback.
Yeah, not right now, especially going against Detroit, who is awful against the pass. I think they're 22nd or 21st ranked.
Not good. I mean, it's a little slighted because Green Bay just went ham on them.
Right.
But, yeah, Detroit's defense does not look...
Like they're going to stop them.
Man, I mean, we'll see. Trap game. I'm just saying. I feel like that's a trap game.
He can still put up numbers.
He
He needed a quarterback, and
He should-
I think
he
that
should
was the
put
best
up numbers.
available one,
Yeah.
to be honest with you, out there, with his matchup against Detroit.
Yeah. I like Carson Wentz.
Of course.
I'm a Wentz fan. But I also like Kenny Stills out there in free agency.
Maybe I should pick him up.
He's really good, man.
I
You
know.
should grab him.
I might do that right now, actually. But we're going to move on, actually, instead.
You don't want to talk about the Teabaggers dropping Chris Johnson for Ellington? Yeah, me neither. Because who cares?
Exactly. Wasted spot there. How about Adrian Peterson? Picking up Jesse James and Joe Flacco, which are two solid pickups to fill some holes for his team this week. Jesse James is getting some looks.
Yeah, he is.
Right.
I mean, everyone scored for Pittsburgh last week.
Right.
What I find funny is Delahanty. Actually, he put a waiver claim. He was through on the waivers, and he put a waiver claim on West, and he also put a waiver claim on Bennett, and he also put a waiver claim on Flacco.
Okay, that's 3 claims.
But what he didn't realize was at first was he for Bennett and Flacco, he was dropping the same person. So he went back in, he dropped someone else just in case he got all of them, which he wasn't gonna anyway.
Right.
But he just wanted to, make sure.
Right.
And he forgot to rearrange his waiver claim order. So what? At his third waiver spot, instead of getting Bennett, he actually picked up Flacco. Pouty face. And I work with Delahanty, so first thing I said to him this morning was, "Hey, way to get Flacco." But he was a little disappointed, and Chris ended up getting him back instead. All right, so that was a very active week in the waivers, and it seems active. Who knows what it will actually turn out to become? But right now, we're gonna take it back to Kevin for a new segment I literally know nothing about at all. So do yo thing.
This should be interesting.
I struggled with what to call this segment. I was going to call it Stranger Things Corman Edition. But ultimately, I decided to call this segment In a Universe That No Longer Makes Sense. And here's why. Because the universe that I'm living in no longer makes sense. For one, Donald Trump is about to become our next president. That's unbelievable enough. But talking about just the Corman, let's talk about a few ways in which this universe no longer makes sense. Hashtag Kickers Lives Matters. A team who purposely keeps 2 kickers on their roster. On purpose. And who has the punishing all-time backfield of Isaiah Crowell and Spencer Ware. Is undefeated. Not only are they undefeated, but they're never going to lose a game. They're going to go undefeated, and they're going to win the Corman Championship this year. I'm convinced of this because every week I talk about how they're going to go downhill, and they never do. That's just one reason in which this universe I live in no longer makes sense. A second way that this universe no longer makes sense is that Mohawk Maniacs, the Teabaggers, and I Suck, owners who have 6 out of the 8 Corman championships in history, all of them this week scored somewhere in the 60s. Not only that, but this is multiple times this season that those 3 owners, the prestige owners of the Corman, have scored in the 60s this season. I'm sorry, but this universe just doesn't make sense to me anymore. Also, Dolomite. So Dolomite has a week in which literally nobody on his bench is available. So everybody that he's starting, he has to start. No wiggle room. Not people he drafted. Bits and pieces, scraps that he picked up. And it just so happens that on that day in which nobody else can go for him except for his starters, literally nobody on the bench, all those guys who have to score points for him, oh, they scored 122. Doesn't make sense. On a personal note, Rob Gronkowski is now a blocker. Yeah, I drafted him first round, and he's a blocker. In 2 games since returning. He's been thrown the ball a grand total of 3 times. Yeah, Rob Gronkowski is a blocker now. And finally, the reason that this universe no longer makes sense is that elite running backs are now treated like groupies, passed around from one owner to another, putting them on the rotisserie and high-fiving while we play cards on their backs. Todd Gurley alone went from, who did he go from? It was from the Teabaggers to Dak Attack, and then to me, Knuckles. Glad to have you, Todd. And then you look at David Johnson, went from Mohawk Maniacs to Dak Attack to the Teabaggers. I mean, this isn't like, this isn't your run-of-the-mill running backs. These are elite guys, and we're just passing them around. And that, gentlemen, are just a few of the reasons why the universe I live in no longer makes sense. Maybe your universe no longer makes sense either. I look forward to being back next week for another episode of the Corman Fantasy Cast. Until then, signing off.
All right, so we're looking at week 5 already. The season is going way too fast.
Yeah.
And I hate that football season goes so fast because I look forward to it all year, and then I feel like it's just like that.
Yeah.
So slow down.
Gone in a flash.
Let's just try to enjoy it. So week 5, the best matchup this week has got to be your matchup. You're playing Bobby. # Kickers Lives Matter. Winner will be in first place in your division.
Yeah.
Because the tiebreaker, if you win, will go to you.
Right.
Because you have more points for it. And I wish you luck.
Thank you.
We all want Bobby to lose, but he probably won't. I hate to say it because he's just guided by some kind of fantasy light.
It's Bobby the Guru, man. So take it easy on me this week. And, I mean, that's all I can say. Be gentle. Next matchup. Got Brian, Dolomite Pimp Squad versus Teabaggers. Mike. Another huge game.
Yeah, number 1 and number 2 in the division.
Division game. Even if Mike wins, you're still going to hold first place.
It'll take a lot for Mike to take it,
but
I have so many points.
That first place, 5-0, sounds better, than 4-1.
Can only dream.
So I'll be paying close attention to this matchup, definitely.
Got duct tape holding my team together right now. So, Adrian Peterson versus Bombo Berry. These are our 2 expansion teams. Yeah, the sophomore class is going to battle it out. I really don't care who wins. I guess if I had to make a prediction, I would say Bombo. He seems to know his shit. But, don't sleep on Delahanty. He's, every day, I work with him. Every day, he's listening to those podcasts, doing his research. He knows his shit, too. So, it should be an interesting matchup.
He's got Flacco.
Oh, yeah, and they both picked up their quarterbacks from free agency. Carson Wentz and Flacco. So.
Got all the free agent quarterbacks there. Should be going. Next up, Dak Attack versus Knuckles. The 2 teams that just pulled off that trade are playing each other this week. That's very interesting.
Yeah, bold.
Normally that doesn't happen that often. You make a big trade like that and you're playing that person that week.
I mean, dealing with the devil.
Yeah, someone is going to feel the effects of this trade very soon. And we're going to see who it is.
Yeah, we'll know very shortly made out. So the next matchup is Saved by Lev Bell versus Old Dirty BJ. Saved by Lev Bell, he's what, 2-2 right now, I believe. So yeah,
2-2.
But Old Dirty BJ's 1-3. So if he loses this, he'll be at 1-4. If he wins, he'll be 2-3. 2-3 sounds a lot better than 1-4.
Absolutely.
Good luck,
One step closer to 500.
1-4.
Beers versus B for Boomer.
Yeah, it's another one of those matchups.
Yeah, it's at the bottom. Both of these teams are 1-3. Not really doing too much. This is almost like a playoff game for these guys. They got to get a win. 1-4.
Yeah.
Like Brian said, not that good. So
yeah,
I mean,
loser of this one.
Season doesn't look too good.
Yeah, 1-4 is not a good start to the season at all. I Suck versus Mohawk Maniacs. These are the two worst teams in the league. So one of them has to win. So, I mean, that's nice that you guys get to play each other. It's too bad you guys can't play each other every week. But,
I think Wayne can get his first win maybe this week and turn things around in the season.
But Aaron Rodgers and Jordy Nelson are both back. So,
yeah, it's going to be a tough one.
You know how Chris, I like my quarterback wide receiver combo.
Yeah.
Hopefully it works out for him. But that's it for this week. Thank you for joining us. Kevin Bailey, Brian Eichels, Kevin Eichels, somewhere in the mist.
Yeah.
We'll be back next week, hopefully in full force. And thank you for joining us. Sweaty Garage Studios. Ale Ahmed Ate.